And welcome into the Thursday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. For homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in, visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing all right. Actually, kind of like, counting down to the next U.S. soccer match I've got. I keep watching the soccer every day. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of into it. I keep saying that every day, but, it surprises me every day.
While you're waiting on the next U.S. soccer match, which is not far away, it is tomorrow. While you're waiting, you can celebrate today with the playing of another United States Open, which begins as we speak right now. As we speak, Ian. Big stuff going on.
Big time.
Yeah, doesn't your guy tee off about an hour?
About an hour. 7:14. He'll be teeing off. First opportunity for Scotty Scheffler to complete the career Grand Slam. We'll see if he can do it.
Exciting stuff. What is it on? I should put it on.
I think it's going to be on USA this morning. Wait, now, I don't know if they're going to start at 7 o'clock, but we'll see.
Does that preempt? Wait, is USA also what Charmed is on?
Well,
no, that's TNT.
Well, that's TNT. It is TNT. Plus, also, for whatever reason, Charmed is only on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah, they keep cutting it back on Ian.
It used to be
just not
Monday
good.
through Thursday.
Remind me what they've replaced it with on Thursday and Friday.
I don't know, some stupid crime show,
some stupid non-Alyssa Milano show.
Yeah, FBI or NCIS or CIS or NSI or whatever the heck those are.
Yeah, as you can see, it's a
CIA, FBI. Yeah. Who knows? Something stupid.
Too much of that. Too much of that. Not enough. Who's the boss out there?
That's true. Yeah, there's never enough that.
Ian, how we doing? What's going on?
Oh, good morning. Doing just fine. I was asking Joe before the show if we know if I won weekend winners or not. I have not done the math yet. I'll have to go back and look.
To be totally honest with you, I was going to do it tomorrow, but I mean, the odds are overwhelmingly high that you won.
I wasn't quite sure because I know I didn't get all my picks. I think I went 3-3, no lock. But
yeah,
I mean, I'll have to look back.
Because Robby was 5 points back. So if you got 3, then
you won.
It's over. Yeah. And looks like I probably, unless Robby completely stunk, I probably came in last. I guess we should probably figure that out.
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll save it for, just an update on the program tomorrow.
But congrats.
Looking forward to it.
Pre-congrats to Ian.
Ian was very excited about that. He said, very much looking forward to it,
Yes. No, we need to celebrate Ian.
So, I mean, Joe, are you becoming, like a soccer stan now? How are we feeling about it?
I don't totally, like, I don't have any interest in watching, like, Premier League or any of that stuff. I don't watch Champions League. I really don't. And yet, for whatever reason, I'm sitting here like, what's next? Oh, we got, we've got Austria, Jordan. Okay. I'll have some of that. How about some Ghana, Panama? Sure. I don't know. It's been, I think the games have been really fun. I mean, Congo with the equalizer in extra time. Wait, is that right? Extra time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. That was amazing. Like, that scene was amazing. England didn't choke yesterday, so that was good for them. Not yet. But I don't know. It's just, the World Cup is just one of those things, and maybe there's people, I guess you could compare it a little bit to the person who watches the Super Bowl and doesn't really watch football. But
sure,
the difference is that's one night, and the commercials and all the other stuff that in the halftime show that go with it. There's a bunch of stuff that's not the sport that goes with it. And this is like weeks of soccer, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just that the U.S. looks so good in the first game, that there's actually some hope of a real run. But I just think it's fun. Again, we've talked about all the, the people and their impressions of of different places in this country, and just the scenes at these stadiums are amazing. So I don't know, whatever it is, I'm watching intently soccer. So that's just not something that's normal for
It
me.
has a little Olympic hockey feel to it for
That's
me.
a good.
Yeah.
That's a good comparison. That's a good comparison. There's probably some people who don't like hockey who get into that tournament. So yeah,
Best of the best on country tournament kind of thing.
The most important tournament, the biggest stakes. Yeah, and I definitely think that the atmospheres are. I mean, say what you want about FIFA, and there's a lot to say about FIFA and the way this whole thing has come down. But like, it's kind of cool, like the U.S. plays in L.A. and I think they're going to be playing in Seattle tomorrow, and the way they do it to kind of give people a taste of different teams in different places is pretty cool.
I was listening. I was listening to the Rich Eisen show yesterday on the ESPN Radio 94.9 The Fan, just flipping around, and they were talking about a potential matchup. I think it was the round of 16 between the U.S. and England on July 4th in Philadelphia.
I saw that.
Really? So
I heard that's a potential.
Okay, because obviously, like, what is happening now determines the knockout round and the way it's right. I mean,
I believe that is correct.
That is
how you win. Whoever wins the group, I think they might seed that way.
Just imagine that.
Wow.
But
Let
that
me
would
tell
be
you
fun
this.
if that happened.
Let me tell you this.
250 years later.
If that happens, you better not lose that soccer match on July 4th on the 250th celebration of our nation. You just better not lose. All right. That's what I'm saying. If it plays out that way, losing is not an option on that day. Let's make that clear.
That's a lot of pressure. That's maybe
It's a lot of pressure, but my goodness, you can't do it.
If you do lose, then I guess that's like the consolation for the British for losing their colonies 250 years later. All right, here, you guys get a soccer win.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Well, that.
You guys get to hang around a little bit longer and enjoy Buc-ee's before you have to leave.
Yeah. Don't grab some Wawa on your way home.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well,
that'd be awesome.
Any other outcome other than that, I'll be incredibly disappointed by. So thank you, Ian, for bringing that to my attention.
Yes, thank you, Rich Eisen show.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, that'd be something else.
Can you imagine? That's good stuff.
That would be cool.
That would be good stuff. We got a lot going on the program today. Charles Robinson will be with us for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock. We'll have the best and worst things in sports come up a little bit later this hour as well. Titans minicamp day number 2 yesterday. A lot of different things to discuss on that front, including Joe Rexrode. We'll get into it a little bit later in the show. But Restrepo out there just making some plays, including apparently the play of the day yesterday. So good stuff on that front. But we begin with Jeffery Simmons, who was not really out there yesterday doing anything on the field, which I don't need Jeffery Simmons to be doing anything on the field really on mandatory minicamp. But it does bring up the idea, and Saleh has talked about kind of the way they run their defensive system. And you look at the moves that they've made this offseason of bringing people in on the defensive line, the front that they've established. And we've talked about it on paper. Like there's, a chance if people can stay healthy and they can play to the level which we've seen them play in their career to this point, that you could develop somewhat of a pretty good rotation on that defensive front. And Jeffery Simmons obviously is coming off the best year of his career. So you've got Simmons coming off the best year of his career. You've added John Franklin Myers. You've added a completely new system with Robert Saleh, and you got a little bit of depth to it, as long as everybody can stay healthy on that front. So with that being said, Joe, like, what do you make of what that could all mean for Simmons specifically in terms of how the Titans use him, how he's deployed? Could you maybe take him off the field a little bit more in, non-critical situations where he's fresher for longer into the season? How do you kind of view what that means for Jeff Simmons on that front?
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting, what Robert Saleh was saying yesterday. I mean, he laid it out with numbers, said if there's a 60-play game and Jeff plays 40, I hope the hope is that it's 40 passes. That's the quote, that's the goal to get him doing what he does. And he went on to say, he can defend the heck out of the run, one of the better run defenders too, but Saleh said he's probably the best interior rusher in the game right now. And I don't think anybody was said that about Simmons before last season, right? He lost the weight. He got a little more nimble, and you saw it in the field, and it played out. I mean, I think he was still considered one of the best all-around interior defenders, but that's it. This is a coach, and it's talking about his own star player, but that's high praise. And I don't know. I hear that, and I'm like, well, he may be right. If he builds on last year. But it's interesting to think about because, look, the Titans haven't really had the luxury, and I don't know that they do now, but they haven't had really the luxury of Jeff Simmons sitting a lot on early downs, right? I mean, he's played a high percentage of snaps. It's been a critical part of. He's been central to everything. So, is that really what can they do that? Will they do that? Are they because if they can get away with that, then you can cut. First of all, just cut his snaps down overall, but also use him more in that way. What would that mean for Jeff Simmons? I mean, it sounds great. It's just a question of like, can you actually pull that off? They've certainly they've got some good pieces in there. Is that really something that we're going to see play out next season?
Well, I mean, the Titans haven't been able to take him off the field. I mean, they've had to add him on the field on offense. They've had to play him so much. It's like, oh, that's the red zone. You're down by the goal line. Let's go put him in. So let's see if we can get some other option.
Should have been using him on punt some of these years.
Yeah. I mean, the year that Colt Anderson was in charge of the special teams, they might as well have used him on punt. They could be the gunner out there.
Yeah, it might have been good. Yeah. So, I mean, like last year, I mean, he played 81% of their defensive snaps.
That's a lot.
So more than 50 snaps a game, because that's about what you look at. It's about 60 snaps ish in the 60s that you're going to play on defense. So, and this is Pro Football Reference has him at 76+%. Is that his career? I guess so. You're talking about that's a big number. If they're talking about playing them. I mean, here I am doing math for you. If it's 40 to 60, that's about 67% of the snaps. And again, are you going to be able to? Can you do that? Can you keep him fresher? Is he going to be a little bit more? Again, just off on early downs more, and because the thing is, we've also seen before. Not a lot, but we've seen before where in different times in his career where he's been off on third down,
Yeah.
Some. But if they can do that, what would that mean? What would that mean for his production? It might be pretty good.
It's a very interesting question. We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. What do you think it would mean for Simmons and his production if they could keep him more fresh throughout a game, throughout a season, and use him a lot on those pass rush situations? We'll take your thoughts on that. Jeffery Simmons also had some interesting things to say about his contract yesterday. We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Talking Jeffery Simmons, Ryan in Florida says he's about to lead the NFL at sacks this year. That would be a heck of a year, Joe. If Jeffery Simmons leads the NFL in sacks, then the Titans win total is going to go way up.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing for the Titans. I don't know if I'm ready to go there yet, but another double-digit sack year from him, that would be that right there would be pretty good. And there's also at this age, as he's getting up there a little bit, if you can think about career longevity a little bit, if you can give him a little bit more of a break, might be a good thing, for him on the back end too. I mean, again, the question is like, do they have the guys to do that? Can they make that happen? Because I'd like Jeff, if I'm running a defense in this league, I'd like Jeff Simmons out there as much as possible on my defense.
Yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. So Simmons had some interesting things to say yesterday on the contract front as well, talking about the Titans and kind of his approach as it relates to desiring a new contract here. Here's what Jeff Simmons had to say yesterday at the podium.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is since I got to Tennessee, this organization been nothing but good to me. This organization we've been on the same page since I got here. So when it come down to the contract, I let everything plays out. Like I said, since I got here, I don't think we have me in the front office, me and Miss Amy, then everyone been on the same page. And whenever it's time to talk contract and whenever it's time to get that stuff out the way, I know my agent, Todd, them, and then them, they're going to work together to make sure it's done the right way. One thing, when it come down to that contract, we know how messy it could get. And that's not what I'm looking for, especially going on year 8. Like I said, this organization been nothing but good to me. So I'm not, so focused on the contract right now. Like I said, my goal this offseason is let me go work my tail off and get ready for training camp.
So that was Jeff Simmons yesterday, Joe. I enjoyed it. He said all the right things there. I mean, he's got, I think he's playing on a $20.1 million base salary this year. It's a $25 million cap hit for the Titans. So, I mean, he's got, technically 2 years left on the deal that he's currently on. But we've talked about the idea of, getting Jeffery Simmons a contract extension and moving some of the money and all those things. So what'd you make of what Jeffery Simmons had to say there as it relates to the contract and what that could look like from both his perspective and the Titans' perspective trying to get that done?
Yeah, like you said, he said all the right things. I did enjoy I'm on the same page. It's like I've been on the same page with people. Sometimes they just get fired and there's new people that I have to be on the same page with. But ultimately on the same page with ownership, it's all worked out well. I mean, there was a little hold in or whatever. But at this point, first of all, I mean, from the Titans perspective, it's just the way he played last year, I think that he has absolutely, you want to keep him happy. You want to keep him around. And this just seems like one of these things that, I think there's a good chance that, and you never know once you get really down to the end, but there's a good chance that he ends up being a career Tennessee Titan. And, again, the way he played last year, a career Tennessee Titan and really one of the greats, what you hope for him is that before it's too late, he can play for good football teams again.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I heard him say that yesterday, Joe. And it was like he was almost so calm about it when it came to because usually when you've got a player in this type of situation, we know this, and it's a different situation, but we're seeing it with Baker Mayfield right now in Tampa, right? Like he's got 1 year left on his deal, and he's a quarterback, and I get it, it's different, but it's gotten to be pretty public with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs and kind of the frustration there. I mean, usually there's some level of, public negotiation that takes place, when these players start talking about their contract in person. Like Simmons to me was so calm about it yesterday. It almost made me wonder, like, are they close? Like, are they, have they already started talking about this to the point where he feels really confident that that next deal that he's looking for is about to get done at some point? That was kind of my immediate takeaway from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really, it is like from the Titans perspective, it's like what does it look like? Like what is the next deal for him? Like what's the term of the next deal? And again, the NFL, different they like the NHL, of course, is it just comes down to like what the guaranteed money looks like. And you typically you can get out of these deals, in a year or two for sure. Right. So, so that's basically what it would be is, probably a deal that, I mean, how much longer is Jeffery Simmons going to be playing at this level? And the hope, of course, is that he's still playing at a high level. So he's going to be he's about 6 weeks away from being 29 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, you want him, like, again, this deal, is through 27. You want him, to me, you want to make sure that you have him through 2029. And, again, in the midst of that, there's all these other things that have nothing to do with him that if they work out, you're really glad you still have Jeffery Simmons. If Cam Ward works out, and on down the list of things that you're trying to do. So, what's the money? I mean, the way the money has gone up all across the league, what are we talking about here in terms of money? And especially, again, the timing for him, the way he played last year, is tremendous. I mean, I would say that when he got the last deal, I wouldn't have necessarily predicted that we'd be talking about this right now.
I don't know that I would have either, but I also think that's what makes what he did last offseason all the more important. Number one, the way that it played out on the field, but number two, I mean, he got himself in in a position physically where, barring health, his knees stay healthy and things that we just can't sit here and predict, on June 18th of 2026, what he did last year and the shape that he got himself in and the shape that he talked about yesterday, wanting to keep himself in and even improve on. I mean, if that's what he's able to do, I mean, that should extend your career, right? Like if he's in that type of shape and he's getting his body to that level, well, theoretically, I mean, you should be able to extend maybe your window of the kind of the prime of your career. So could he play at a pretty high level until he's 33 years old, until he's 34 years old? One of his contemporaries that we've often kind of looked at here in terms of what that could look like is Chris Jones. Chris Jones, 31 right now. I think I want to say he'll be 32 coming up in August. And he had, I think if you watched the Chiefs last year, it wasn't quite the same level of Chris Jones.
I thought he fell off a little bit.
Right. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, he still ended up with 7 sacks, and there were some games and some moments where he looked
like Chris
every bit as dominant as he always has. But if you watch and if you talk to like people who were watching Kansas City a lot last year, I mean, it just kind of felt like a little bit of a step back. And he'll be 32 coming up here in a few weeks on July 3rd. So that's another guy. I mean, two different people, but it's interesting to watch. Like, is Chris Jones starting to, totally go on the downturn as a player? Was last year not only for him, but as the team as a whole, just kind of a step back? That's the sort of stuff you got to wonder about. But I do think what Simmons did last offseason with his body should theoretically kind of extend this window we're talking about.
No, it's a big deal. So I'd feel good, but it's also, you're talking about big guys and a lot of pounding, over the years. And so you just expect, I don't think there's too many examples of mid-30s players. I mean, the play, yes, but mid-30s, like you're going to lose something. I would feel good about Simmons, he's going to, so he's going to be 29 this season. I mean, I think with what he showed about getting in shape and what that meant for him, I'd feel pretty good about him at 29, 30, 31, and 32. And then, after that, you just have to, and again, even if that's the case, that's great. You don't know for sure that it's going to work out like that, but I feel like it projects pretty positively. And then after that, you're going to realistically deal with some level of regression.
An interesting discussion from the Titans quarterback coach on completion percentage, how that relates to Cam Ward, maybe how NFL teams view it. We'll get into that coming up next. The best and worst things in sports at 6:45. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Today, the Nashville Sounds taking on the Memphis Redbirds. First pitch at 7:05. You can catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, Maple Street Biscuit Company, Mad Fireworks, and Social Cantina. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. We'll have the best and worst things in sports coming up at 6:45. An interesting discussion yesterday, Joe, with Titans quarterback coach Shea Tierney talking about completion percentage, what that actually means, how valuable that stat is, and of course, ultimately, looking at Cam Ward and what that looks like here. We've talked a lot about completion percentage. Here's what Shea Tierney had to say yesterday at the podium.
You're getting into a discussion really that's what type of play are you trying to, what's the intent of the play, right? So when we have a play call, when Dave sends in a play, we know what we're trying to get done. Are we trying to take a shot? Are we trying to hit it downfield? Which is obviously when you're throwing it downfield, lower percentage, right? Is it intermediate? So are we trying to get a chunk? Or is it a short one where we're just trying to get the ball out of our hands and completing the ball to basically augment the run game? That's what you're trying to do with some of those. So does that help drive completion percentage up? Yes. That doesn't necessarily mean your accuracy is better because you're calling a high completion play, and now we're hitting 75% of our passes, and everybody thinks, oh, he's got 75%. He's accurate. That's not always the case. An accurate passer to me is somebody who can execute the intent of the play call and hit what we're trying to hit. And if we're hitting those spots that we're trying to hit based on the play call, that's an accurate passer. Completion percentage it lies a lot. Like I said, not to reference the past, but guys who have had less than 60% completion percentage in college have come into the NFL, and now all of a sudden they're completing 67% of their passes. Like, there's not just the accuracy plays into.
I thought that was interesting, Joe. Just like the perspective that he has on like viewing completion percentage more as relation to like what does the play calling look like and how like what are you trying to get done as offensive coordinator? How much do you trust your quarterback to push the ball down the field? Do you not trust your quarterback to push the ball down the field at all? And that means you've got to throw all these short passes where your completion percentage is really high, and then people think he's an accurate quarterback. I thought it was good stuff from Shea Tierney yesterday. I still have to believe at some level in the totality of a season through 17 games, when you've got at that point, Joe, a pretty good sample size and a good mixture probably of all those situations, I do think the completion percentage means something. Like, I think it is meaningful, but it was an interesting breakdown that Tierney threw out there yesterday.
Sure. I mean, yeah, that's why yards per attempt is a really important stat to pair with completion percentage. And of course, the quarterbacks, he's talking about quarterbacks again, basically, who just take all the short stuff and then the completion percentage looks good. Well, those quarterbacks, we call them Charlie Checkdown, right? I mean, that's a big complaint of the NFL fan of like, please take a shot ever. So look, I'm just glad that all of this makes sense. And I'm just glad that like Cam Ward's had a couple better days. Like you said, just have a better. He apparently had a better day yesterday. Not perfect, but whatever. It doesn't need to be perfect. Seems like there's some stuff maybe improving, some stuff clicking here as this phase ends, and then now we have a few weeks of waiting for camp. But it's still like when it comes down to it, it's still like a question, a very fair one of. When you do have those plays, those short and intermediate plays that are there for you that you need to take, again, like Steve Lehman said the other day, I think there's some truth to just take more layups and just be selective and have the right feel for when you take a shot or when you try to extend a play. That's part of it too, just from the front end of making a decision what you're going to do. But when you do decide to do that, are you finishing those layups at a high enough percentage? And that's still going to be a question with him, and we'll see. But Yeah, I mean, all this discussion makes sense, and it's good that this mini camp ends without more days of, oh my God, he missed all these throws again. What is going on? It cools off a little bit, and we can all wait for camp so we can overreact to those things as well.
Can you guess? And I'm looking at Pro Football Reference here. You'll love to know these names. The top 5 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL as it relates to pass completion percentage for their careers. Are you ready for this?
All right, bring it.
Joe Burrow, number 1.
Okay.
It's 68.5%.
He takes
Tua.
shots.
Yeah. Tua is number 2. It's 68% for his career.
And see,
all time.
Now Tua to me there's a little bit of a Charlie checkdown situation. You know?
I would agree.
No, not that, I mean, certainly when he had Tyreek Hill going, it was pretty good. But that to me is that is an offense that there's a lot in that offense that is it's extension of the run game type stuff, right? So okay.
Yes. Number 3 will be no surprise. That is Drew Brees at 67.7%.
And that is an accurate representation of Drew Brees, right?
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
The other numbers are great too, but that number, not surprisingly, is great.
4 and 5, honestly, kind of blow me away. 4 is Jimmy Garoppolo at 67.4%.
Yeah.
And 5 is Captain Video Game Kyler Murray at 67.1%. That's your top 5 in NFL history. Burrow, Tua, Drew Brees, Garoppolo, Kyler Murray.
Wow. So there you go. So 2 great quarterbacks and 3 not great quarterbacks of the top 5. So that's a pretty good. So it can mean something. It's not meaningless, but it has limitations as a stat. But again, so and obviously we've been talking about Cam. We've been people have been Terry McCormick has his numbers. Jimmy Wyatt's people keeping track of the numbers, and so you look at them, it's like, oh man, look at like Trubisky's completion rate versus his, But I also think just a lot of the Cam discussion is like he sailed this throw, or this one was way off. Is it way off because they weren't on the same page, or they were on the same page and he just airmailed one, right? It's as opposed to just the number. And the numbers in this time of year, I'm glad. I don't think it's worthless to keep track of them, but huge asterisk goes next to him.
By the way, Mitch Trubisky tied for 26th all time in completion percentage, 64.4%. Listen to this. Listen to these 4 together that are tied for 29th in the history of the league. And this is it's an incredible combination. Number 29 in the history of the NFL in completion percentage at 64.3%. Tom Brady, Ryan Tannehill, Jordan Love, Steve Young. Those are the 4.
Wow.
Together.
Wow.
Kind of amazing.
All of them are all-time greats, right? I think so. Yeah.
Tannehill's going to get the gold jacket pretty soon.
Pretty much equals in this league. So
I would agree.
I
mean, that's got to knock Brady down a little bit in the all-time great discussion, right? If he's only 29th in the history of the league and tied for 29th at completion percentage.
Well, if we're going to break the tie, I'm pretty sure I covered a playoff game in this league that saw Ryan Tannehill beat Tom Brady and send him packing from Foxborough. That did happen.
It's true.
He was the quarterback in that game.
Some of the names in like the top 15 of this, like Mac Jones is 8th.
Wow.
Chad Pennington 13th. I think I'm becoming less and less of a believer in completion percentage the more I look at this.
Chad Pennington was the definition of Charlie checkdown.
Yes, he was.
I don't think that guy ever threw the ball like 20 yards in the air, did he?
Barely.
I don't know that he could.
Yeah, I don't know that he was even capable.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The best and worst things in sports coming up next. We'll take your best things, your worst things on our text line. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The best and worst of the sports week. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is the worst.
You look like you're feeling sorry for yourself.
He's one of one. He is him.
This is a Coke bottle. It's not a crystal ball.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
It is that time of the week. Time for the best and worst things in sports. We'll keep taking your best and worst things in sports on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Rexrode, kick us off with your best and worst things in the world of sports.
Well, I kind of hinted at it earlier, I guess. The football fever here. And by the way, someone mentioned on the text line the shout out to the Scottish fans who, like in Boston, like at St. Patrick's Day, like they're way better off with their beer supplies than with these with the Scottish fans just drinking them dry. And imagine drinking Boston dry, you know?
Well, by the way, do they just walk around with bagpipes? Like they got bagpipes with them everywhere they go? It's unbelievable.
I mean, I sure as hell hope so. Yeah, they should. I love it. Walk around with bagpipes, drink all the beer.
Just doesn't seem. I mean, at some point you think you'd want to not carry it everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. You can set them aside for a little bit. Yeah. Don't leave them in your car at a gas station though. If there's a PT Cruiser nearby, I mean,
it's true.
I'll give you that advice. But yeah, my best is the World Cup. It's awesome. I'm all in, and like watching Messi, do what he did the other night. I mean, it's pretty cool. That also applies to my worst, which basically is, and you mentioned this previously, but like I kind of feel for college baseball because normally it's perfectly timed now I know my editor Mitch Light is still, I mean, he's watching every pitch, and by the way, it's North Carolina, Oklahoma for the national championship. Some pretty big brands there, little ACC, little SEC, for people who forgot that Oklahoma's in the SEC. But I just feel bad. Like I've watched way less because of soccer, and I think that it's been totally overshadowed. And usually it's perfectly timed at this point. We get done with the NBA and NHL playoffs, and we have this. And now it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's right. They're having a tournament in Omaha. So I feel bad for college baseball. That's my worst.
Yeah, it's legitimately like I woke up this morning. It saw that's what the final was. It's like, oh, well, how about that? Good for them. Yeah. I mean, I have not watched 1 second of the College World Series. It's far your best and worst.
I hope Bill and Jordan show up. Maybe.
That's right.
Maybe show a little support, huh?
That's right.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, I mean, the Knicks, of course.
No cheerleading competition to get to?
Yeah. The Knicks, of course, are on my best list.
Of course.
In general, this stat I thought was pretty cool. Both the Knicks and Hurricanes, 16-3 in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is.
Both,
so neither lost enough games to lose even one series.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, both just outstanding runs from both of them. Messi hat trick. I feel like I had to mention that real quick. And then my worst, how about Phil Mickelson?
Yeah.
What happened to this guy? What kind of crazy downfall? Now he's getting banned from his private golf club for inappropriate relationships or whatever, inappropriate conduct with a female employee there. And his just complete fall off and just downturn into a complete, utter troll and terrible person. So Phil Mickelson is on my worst this week.
That's a good worst.
Yeah. And I was struggling to come up with some worst this week, but that's a good one. That's a good one right there. My best in sports, Jordan Stahl at age 37, winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. And obviously Carolina finishing off with the Stanley Cup there, but that is really cool to see. I mean, it was also objectively hilarious how Bettman got up on the stage. It was like, by the way, you're the oldest Conn Smythe Trophy winner in history. And he did, he just basically busted out laughing going up to accept the trophy. So that was fun. The United States Open going on right now, except for at the moment it's suspended by fog. So there is that that's happening in the moment, but it's also a best in sports. The worst thing, Joe, I was thinking about this. You know, we didn't talk about this a whole lot because I think everybody, for the most part, is happy that Vegas lost. But I do feel for Colton Sissons a little bit. It is the second time he has gotten to the Stanley Cup final and gotten to a game 6 and been shut out in said game 6. So that's got to suck. You know, you got game 6 at home for the second time in his career where he gets shut out. I mean, the first one probably more painful considering the fact that he scored a goal in it and the referees waved it off for intent to blow.
Intent to blow.
But game to 6 in the Cup final at home has not been kind to Colton Sissons in his career.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, Colton. But good run.
Good run.
And I mean, he made some terrific plays along the way, by the way.
He did. Brian says the best thing in sports, Japanese soccer fans and Scottish soccer fans. You brought up the Scottish soccer fans. The Japanese soccer fans are awesome. Like they get together, they watch the game, and they basically just totally clean their part of the stadium after it. It's amazing.
It is. And they're using the bags as like cheering devices, and then they're using them to clean up. And Jameis Winston has joined them. So that's pretty cool.
Yes. By the way, one texter pointing out just the absolute shade that PT Cruisers are now getting on this program after what happened to you.
I know. We need a PT Cruiser endorsement so we can repair our relationship with Chevrolet.
It's like the entire brand is just taking a hit on the Robby and Rexrode program.
I'm only questioning red ones. Okay.
Red ones with no license plate.
That's right.
Although I would assume the license plate probably has been reinstalled at this point, would be my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I've been keeping my eye out on Murfreesboro Road just for random PT Cruisers.
Yeah.
Have not seen any yet. Head on a swivel though. Just like, hey, who is that? Follow him.
Yeah.
Where's that PT Cruiser going right now? I wonder.
By the way, Trevor has
Crime
a good one
spree.
here. Trevor has a good one. He says, my best has to be Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper, Vozina, before Monday's match, where he held him scoreless. He had 50,000 followers on Instagram. He has now 13.3 million, more than the likes of Brady. Oh, he's closing in on Brady, but more than the likes of Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a good one. Trevor also, by the way, gave us an AI update that the AI claims that it is impossible for this 4th of July scenario you mentioned. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if we can trust AI, but
I'll double check. I just went with the Rich Eisen show and they were talking about it.
Yeah.
So I assumed it was correct.
I mean,
I could be
also
wrong.
Yeah, Rich Eisen's good, but he also has had like whole shows about how like the Harbaugh cheating was no big deal. So
That's because he's from Michigan.
Well, I know.
So it's a little
It's
bit
kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
But yes.
We have really upset Craig, who says intent to blow the whistle and Forsberg being offsides will always be the worst in sports. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, those are the eternal worst in sports.
They had a little bit of one of those situations in this postseason at one point. I can't remember exactly the scenario, but I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, we know about that the old intent to blow situation."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Brett in Lebanon says, at an apartment complex in Mount Juliet, a red PT Cruiser has passed by him twice while he was running this morning. Had a license plate. Just keep an eye out there. The community needs to be aware. Keep your eyes open.
Lock the locks.
Tony
from Spring Hills again with the Scottish fans, and yes, if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Yeah.
For people who don't know that amazing SNL skit.
Oh yeah, good stuff there on that front. 615-737-1025, our phone number. It was not that long ago that I felt like Joe Rexrode was on the verge of declaring his allegiance to a particular program. And I think that's completely turned. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. Presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. We will have the Rob Rant coming up later this hour. Charles Robinson will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll get into the Titans and all things NFL with him. So looking forward to that. Taking your thoughts in the meantime at 615-737-1025. So, Joe, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, really, in the grand scheme of things, just a few weeks ago, we were on the show and we were talking about, Texas and Texas Tech and the bickering going back and forth, and Texas Tech laying out the challenge to the University of Texas of, hey, if you think our schedule's so soft, why don't you just come play us week 1? And you can come play. We'll buy you out of your schedule. You can come play. We'll set it up at Jerry World if you want to. And we were talking about that potential development. And I thought at one point, Joe, that you were so excited about Cody Campbell and Texas Tech that you're going to go get one of those like guns up t-shirt, and just put it on, guns up, ready to go. Big Red Raiders guy at that point. And then you have all this Brendan Sorsby stuff that's gone on since then. And it feels like your view of Texas Tech and Texas Tech's fan base may have shifted a little bit. What's going on here, Joe?
Yeah, well, I try not to be too swayed by like comments on something I wrote, but there's some real buttes. Some of them have had to have been removed for bad language. The column I wrote yesterday about Texas Tech, which was the point of it was basically they are as this thing ends. Now, of course, there's also a Cincinnati thing here going on, but basically as it ends in terms of Sorsby decided to bail and the school, I think they collectively decided to bail once the Big 12 lawsuit came through and you saw the possibilities with that and you knew about the supplemental draft deadline. It makes sense, but you know what? This could be ineligibility. This could be like the whole season vacated, whatever. You're going to screw over the whole team. It's just time to just cut the losses and move on. But the damage done here as it's over is to Texas Tech. And the thing that Cody Campbell, I don't know if Cody Campbell was just saying it to to say it, to placate Texas Tech fans, or if he actually believes it. It's among the many, many idiotic things said by Texas Tech people in the last few weeks. But this idea that this is about people hating Texas Tech and, being angry that they've done what they've done to rise in college sports and all that stuff. I that's just absurd, and it's not true. As you just said, I've been a big fan of what they've been doing. Tampering is one thing. Like if you're going beyond what you should do there, well, okay, I'd like to see stuff like that be policed in some way. Dabo's out there naming names, which is great, but short of that, it seems like basically they've just been overpaying. They've been blowing up the market and saying, okay, well, we'll pay you 1.5 times that. How are you going to go anywhere but here? Hey, it's a free market. I'm all for it. Cody Campbell's totally wrong when he suggests, and again, I don't know if he actually believed it or if he was just talking to talk, but this is a guy who, to me, has also been interesting and I think good for college football because he's someone willing to take on the SEC and Big Ten and the way things look like they may be trending and try to fight for, of course he's fighting for Texas Tech, but he's also fighting for like the Big 12 and the ACC. You could look at it that way. I think he's been good in a lot of ways, but he has done a lot of damage to his own credibility here. And the reality is Texas Tech did that 20-some minute thing and he wasn't part of it. But so they had the coach, AD, and president, and that didn't help them at all either. It was just complete, just fantasy. Like people are trying to say that gambling is worse than murder or something. No, it's just that you can't do this and be part of a league. It's very simple. So the whole thing, I don't know what it means long term for Texas Tech, but there's a smudge there. There's damage. And no, I do not think that every other program. I think most other programs probably would have at least thought hard about still playing the kid in the situation. But the PR disaster that Texas Tech decided to embark on, I think a lot of programs would not have done that.
I would agree. I think, well, I think this idea that Texas Tech, and Cody Campbell in particular, is some white knight for college football, right? Like, yeah, I think we can pretty much push that aside now. Hey, look, I don't necessarily blame him from the standpoint of he's looking out for what's best for Texas Tech, and that's truly what he cares about. I mean, from that perspective, he's no different than basically everybody else in college athletics, right? I mean, everybody to some degree is looking out for themselves. I mean, like even some of these ADs when they're talking about, college football playoff expansion and all these, like the coaches are one thing. I've always thought, like, as an athletic director, is like, can you not really see past some of that? Like, because who cares about coach job security if you're the athletic director? Like, can you not see past some of this and say, hey, maybe 24 team expansion is bad, but at the end of the day, like, if your football program's making the 24 team playoff, well, that's good for the AD too. So, like, everybody's looking out for themselves to some degree here. But it is amazing, like, always, whether it's this situation or, I mean, pick any number of situations that have gone down in college sports over the last 5 to 10 years, Joe. It always seems like these people are, like, just totally unprepared for any sort of PR storm that happens after. It's like they say, how can we make this infinitely worse? And that's the strategy they go with. It's kind of amazing to me.
Yeah, but Texas Tech took it to a new level. I mean,
They did, for sure.
I like this. I mean, Campbell's out here bringing up Sandusky and Penn State, and again, it's like,
yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
This entire argument is a flawed argument. You guys know it. This is just a dishonest, disingenuous conversation. I mean, no one is talking about saying that Brendan Sorsby is the criminal of the century, just that a sports league can't have someone who does that in the sports league. It's all it is. So, and they look, credit to the Big 12, and they hired the high-powered law firm that has worked on some big cases in this country, and they set it up to where what came through Monday morning, it was like, okay, this is different. I mean, they were already wobbling a little bit, and this is, I'm citing Justin Williams had a really in-depth sort of behind the scenes report on how it all went down with Texas Tech. But then the lawsuit blew it up, and so it's a bullet dodged. But I don't know, what does it mean long term? I mean, we still did have a judge who somehow came to the conclusion that he should play. There's going to be more bad decisions by local judges that infuriate everyone. And then meantime, we still have the legislation going on. And, if you look at Ross Dellinger from Yahoo tweeted out yesterday, all the amendments that different politicians want to, it's insane. It's like, there is absolutely no way that this legislation will pass. There's no way. And so here we are again, trying to figure out how we can stop things like this from happening. And people just don't want to dig in on what fully acknowledge is going to be difficult to figure out, but, like, to me is the only answer, which is collective bargaining.
So now Brendan Sorsby's agent is going after Cincinnati and their role in all this. We'll get into that coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We will have the Rob rant coming up at 7:45. Charles Robinson at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things NFL with him, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. So the latest development on the Sorsby front, Joe, is Sorsby's agent going on a Dallas radio station and said that Cincinnati basically should be questioned because the school knew of Sorsby's gambling for 2 years and, quote, never said anything. So that's generated a lot of reaction. Cincinnati put out a statement in response to all that yesterday that said, quote, "We will reiterate what we've said before. All of our student athletes receive extensive gambling education multiple times throughout the year, and we would never knowingly play an athlete who violated NCAA sports wagering regulations. If we ever became aware of impermissible wagering, we would report to the NCAA and comply with the sanctions." That was the statement that Cincinnati put out there. You know, I'm reading an ESPN.com story that talks about like the gambling technology that Cincinnati uses called Prohibit, which basically, Prohibit. Yes, very good stuff. Which basically monitors all student athletes and coaches, and basically, if it gets flagged, it lets you know, and you can go take the appropriate actions after that. After you're notified. Apparently, those public records were requested by ESPN. Cincinnati said it had received Prohibit alerts on 6 active student athletes between January of 2024, February of 2026, and that none of the 6 active student athletes was the subject of more than one alert. So that's kind of the latest on that front. So what do you make of now the Cincinnati angle of all this, Joe, with Sorsby's agent out there saying, I mean, yeah, you guys should probably question them. They knew about this the whole time.
Yeah, well, and it's an important detail in this story that this is the agent for Sorsby, and Cincinnati is suing Sorsby for breach of contract. Yeah. So the school is claiming it suffered damages more than $1 million from him leaving for Texas Tech. So there's also, you know, like they are at odds, right? I'm not saying, there is a potential ulterior motive here. Doesn't mean he's wrong, but I mean, they're trying to figure this out while Sorsby gets, a prorated amount of the money that Texas Tech was going to pay him to play this year. So now he's possibly having to owe Cincinnati this money and on and on. But, they have these things in place. So like that, the fact that the open records request really, there's not a lot there, but I know that like Matt Hayes from USA Today had a story that it's citing anonymous sources that there was some knowledge there. Now, again, what is that? How does that play into like an NCAA investigation? Can the NCAA even investigate anything anymore? There's a lot of questions here that are relevant. But I mean, if Cincinnati did have like have any real knowledge of this stuff and then he played, I mean, that should be big trouble for Cincinnati.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. We'll see. To your point, is there an investigation that goes into this? Is there even a chance that you could find something? I mean, if you're Cincinnati and you're talking about this public records request that was put out there, I mentioned none of the 6 student athletes were the subject of more than one alert, and none of the alerts were triggered by impermissible wagering. So, like, from that standpoint, it looks like they're okay. But I mean, I don't know, Joe. I would assume that if you've placed over 9,000 bets like Brendan Sorsby has admitted to over the last 4 years, like, it's got to be at least a little bit more complicated than, well, he's just going to get flagged by all these systems that these schools have in place. Because if that was the case, I mean, we would have probably been talking about this a long time ago. So I would assume there's some complication with that in terms of like how deep into the weeds did not just Sorsby, but like some of these other athletes, like how far do they go to try to limit their exposure of being caught doing this, right? I mean, there's got to be probably a deep web of things you can get into of how deep these people try to go to hide this.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then there is in the reporting of Swordsby. I mean, he used, he had other people doing bets for him too. So yeah, it's so I'm going back to the to the Hayes thing, which again, this is like right after the initial thing came out. It just was two people told him that the department was alerted in August, right before the start of last season. That he had some sort of a gambling thing. Then he goes into all the prohibit and all that stuff. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so what did they know? Who knew? Yes, they played him anyway, that's for sure. But again, through the thing and the ESPN story, they have these mechanisms in place. So I don't know. I look at it and it's like, unless there's something else here and somebody, essentially a whistleblower who wants to say more. And of course, again, this is an issue with NCAA investigations. There is no, I'm forgetting the term, but there's no requirement to do an interview. There's a legal term for it that I'm forgetting. There's no subpoena power for the NCAA. That's the NCAA does not have that. So unless there's someone really at Cincinnati who really wants to burn Cincinnati to the ground on this, I'm guessing it doesn't go too far.
And then, I mean, there's an interesting story this morning at the Athletic by Mike Jones, basically asking the question, like, what does the NFL think about all this with Swordsby? And is there any way that the NFL just looks at him and says, hey, man, you're not going in the supplemental draft. Like, we're just not going to let you do it. Right. And that's kind of been something that's, I mean, not heavily discussed on this front, but I do wonder, like, the NFL looking at all this, like, we've gotten so wrapped up in, the NCAA and the temporary injunction and the idea of playing college football. And on the one hand, Joe, I mean, he's not gotten in trouble in the National Football League for gambling. So the NFL may just look at it and say, well, if and when he does something in our league, we'll handle it at that point, but he hasn't yet. So they're not worried about it. But maybe they don't. Maybe they don't view it that way, and they say, yeah, we've got some pretty deep concerns about this kid coming into our league, and we're just not going to allow him to go in the supplemental draft right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's so obvious with the college football thing. You do this, you can't play. So why is this other league going to be like, hey, come on in? I mean, right. It's a really interesting question. Certainly with individual teams, like we've talked about, some of them, he's just not even going to be, he's just off the board. And I think some will look at it and do some deep diving before they even use like a middle round pick on him in a supplemental draft. But yeah, what does the NFL look at this and say, this is now potentially affecting our credibility if we let someone who did this into the league? I can't think of another situation like this, because obviously this is the unofficial minor leagues for the NFL, even though they're not, they're not affiliated. So the whole thing is going to be really interesting. I suspect, that he's going to be allowed into the league, that they're going to have a supplemental draft sometime in July, and that someone's going to take him with a middling pick, but it's worth a discussion for sure. And he might really be in trouble here.
Well, like the way the rule is written in the CBA with the NFL and the NFLPA, it basically says, if the player is eligible to be selected in the supplemental draft, if the league elects to conduct such a draft. And so the league may look at this and say, yeah, we're just not doing a supplemental draft this year.
Yeah.
It's within their right with the way that it's written, that the league could just look at it and say, yeah, we're just not going to do that.
In which case, then it's like, okay, so, I mean, I guess then he could just be, in theory, he could be signed, right, as a free agent, but how would that work with him getting into the league? I don't
know. I mean, would he have to go to the actual draft next year at that point? I have no idea.
Or wait until the draft next year. And by the way, I know I've seen some people say, well, if this doesn't work out, then he might go back. But my understanding is he has now, first of all, to even enter the supplemental draft, you have to you have to like withdraw the lawsuit. I don't believe that he can go back to college football now.
I don't think so either.
So so basically, yeah, because again, remember, I mean, he is ruled ineligible.
Right.
And the NCAA ruled him ineligible. So lawsuit withdrawn in order to do this means like you're just ineligible. I don't think he's going to find another judge to let him back in. So and he might end up just having to work out between now and the next draft. And again, he's still going to be a talented guy. There will at least be a lot more time of being in treatment, so there is that. There's time away and things like that. But I don't know what would that look like if he was in next year's draft.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how you begin to, evaluate, like, especially like if he goes through like the normal process and you go to the combine and you're like, wow, I mean, this kid is just slinging the ball around out there. Like, how do you evaluate where to take him in the draft at that point, having not played football all year? And then you look at like the physical tools and you're really impressed by him. And there's just so much baggage around it all. It would be very interesting. I mean, Joe, it might make the NFL combine, relatively interesting at that point.
Yeah.
For one guy.
If he were invited, yeah. And again, like there's still gonna be teams that are like, I mean, look at this kid. I mean, he's supposed to have a pro day real soon, by the way.
Yeah.
Like this is a real talent. And the rules of the leagues, you can't gamble. That's all cut and dried, and this never should have happened. But I do agree with, if you're a team talking yourself into him, it is true that like gambling is everywhere, that everybody has it on their phone, that it's not like Art Schlichter back in 1980 who had to find bookies. From that perspective, I mean, I think you do have to look at it through a modern lens and ask yourself, again, is he serious about getting treatment and moving past this? Also, all this trouble, if they don't do a supplemental draft, all these things that he's had to go through, all the money he's lost here, like you hope that this is something people notice, that it deters some people. I don't think we can expect that we're never going to have more gambling scandals. So we will, but things like this should like open some eyes, right?
You would think so. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. A bad result for a former Vol that we will get into coming up next. The Rob ran at 745. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Our football offseason coverage brought to you by Tennessee Brew Works. Locally brewed, community-driven, Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up here in just over 10 minutes, and we will have Charles Robinson with us to begin the 8 o'clock hour. We will get into all things National Football League with him, so looking forward to that. Derek Dooley, I'm not overly familiar with the Georgia political scene, but Derek Dooley did lose his bid to join the U.S. Senate and their nomination, losing the primary election there a couple of days ago. Dooley, obviously, former head coach at the University of Tennessee, has been in the football realm. I think after Tennessee, he was like receivers coach at the Dallas Cowboys. I think with the Missouri for a year thrown in there somewhere. At some point, everybody kind of cycles through Alabama. So I think he was hired by Alabama in February of 2022 to be an offensive analyst. So why not? I mean, every former Tennessee coach apparently ends up back at Alabama at some point there, but lost out, Joe, on the U.S. Senate nomination for the state of Georgia. So you have that going on. Now I wonder, what happens? Does he get back into football? What does this all mean for Derek Dooley in your mind?
I don't know. It's been nice to hear about Derek Dooley, but his attempt at he fell short in the primary. President Trump endorsed his opponent, his Republican opponent. So that's probably not helpful. 58 years old. I guess we'll see if he stays in politics.
Is he only 58?
He's only 58, which is, I mean, thanks for saying only 58. That
you're welcome.
Makes me feel good. I'm way younger than that, by the way, but that makes me feel good. So I don't know. We'll see if we see him anymore. We've got Butch out there still doing. Trying to see what's Jeremy Pruitt's next big step, man. What is Jeremy Pruitt's next big step? I mean, maybe Pruitt could get into the political arena.
Offensively, the name of the game is scoring points.
Can you imagine Jeremy Pruitt giving a speech? Like a political rally, a speech? There's got to be some documentary somebody is doing and working on of those three guys. And it could be all encompassing. Like the Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Jeremy Pruitt experience. I mean, I don't really know if I'd want to watch it because, my God, it would probably just infuriate me to watch those three guys again for any length of time. But it would be a heck of an idea to get some sort of docu-series going on the life and story of Dooley, Butch Jones, and Jeremy Pruitt, and all the ins and outs that have gone on with that since they've been at Tennessee.
Man, that would actually be like a 30 for 30 or whatever, an E60.
And by the way, I'm not even including the guy before them, which is Kiffin, which I guess, I mean, he would really kind of need his own thing. But yeah, like those three guys would be unbelievable.
Yeah, well, you could start it. You started on couch burning night and or mattress burning night, and that's a. By the way, since you brought it up, did the tour Caroline of UT the other day, and our tour guide actually brought us to the Rock and started talking about the Kiffin thing, and it was pretty funny. She was like, they it was great because people put his phone number on the Rock, and then he got so many nice messages from the Tennessee fans that
sure,
it was pretty good. It was pretty funny part. I'm glad that the history of that is not lost. I mean, that's like 17 years ago, right? I mean, we're getting far away from that, and yet the history remains strong. But yeah, you start with that.
They should have taken the ashes, taking the ashes from one of the mattresses that burned and just put it in a box somewhere in the football facility.
Let someone butt chug it. Sorry to bring that up, Tennessee fans. You start with that night, and then you do the stretch of Dooley, Butch, Pruitt. And again, you said it, and it is true. Butch gets a little bit hosed with the comparison. I mean, he actually, right? There were signs of actual
There were,
real
and then it
football.
failed
Well,
spectacularly.
then
at
the end
end.
was
Yeah.
yes. I mean, you got people getting attacked by their own helmets and stuff like that. But yeah, like that would be. I would watch the heck out of that. I would. Well, yes, and as someone mentioned, you start. Yeah, there you go. You start with. Well, no, you can't end with Shiano Sunday because you have the Pruitt era.
You got to
after
get
that.
to Pruitt.
But Shiano Sunday is a huge part of this. Huge part of this whole thing.
I mean, this could be a huge documentary.
It truly is an amazing. Like, I don't know how many college football programs, and someone needs to do this. Maybe I need to look into this at some point. But like, how many college football programs would have 3 straight? Because like Kiffin's a good hire, but like with that situation, and then you got Ed Orgeron like, hey, don't go to class tomorrow. I mean, like all that stuff is just, and then the 3 straight hires and all this stuff, Shiano Sunday, the chancellors, the ADs that went on. Like, and like, seriously, Alabama had a heck of a run too, by the way. It's rolling, baby. Roll Tide. I mean, they had a heck of a run before they found Saban, but I can't imagine anyone would match up with what Tennessee had in that decade-ish or so.
I'm just thinking about this, because now this documentary in my head has to happen. But like this, the Shiano Sunday thing people are talking about. I mean, you could do the best part of all this, which is, the Brady Hoke in all capital letters text message to John Curry, quote, John, I hope you do know I would like to be your head football coach. I do know the environment we live in and what needs to be done at Tennessee. No punctuation in there till the end.
None.
With the exclamation point.
Just all caps. Oh, man. Oh.
And then another one after that, in all caps, quote, John, very sorry to hear what has happened to this. This is bull crap that college football has become. If I can be of any help, please let me know.
Oh, man. I'm so glad you remembered the Brady Hoke aspect of this.
Oh, man.
Truly amazing.
So this could be an elite docuseries. The fact that it hasn't happened yet is disappointing.
It needs to be done. It needs to be done. And like, some people will say, well, Tennessee, is there a wide enough interest? Yeah, like the content here is, I mean, we did you guys let Connor Stallions do like a doc where he just went on there and just lied about the whole thing. And, I wasn't on the sideline, all this. Yeah, we were just sending people out because we're big college football fans with their cameras and stuff in other states. Yeah, they just love us some college football. I mean, you did that, Doc. Now I understand that was a controversy that engulfed the sport, but I think that there are people who probably don't know nearly enough about this who would be fascinated by it.
I mean, you could just do a mashup of like press conferences from Dooley, Butch, and Pruitt. I mean, like you could mash up Dooley talking about Rommel out there, Butch Jones asking what we want from our media, and that went well. And then I guess Pruitt explaining to Blake Topmeyer what the first down marker looks like.
Oh, God.
Gain 10 yards. First down, Blake.
Yeah. No, and there's more where that came from too.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea. I think we need to pitch this. Like Ryan McGee. Ryan McGee knows how amazing all this stuff is. Friend of the show. I mean, he's at ESPN.
Sounds like a fun project for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan McGee has to know the potential of something like this. So maybe we need to pitch it to him.
Well, I'll be fascinated to see what Dooley does from here, or if he gets back into football, or if this is it. Like maybe it's the last time we've heard from Derek Dooley.
Yeah. Well, I'd forgotten about him for a lot of years. So nice to hear from him.
It is.
Sorry it didn't work out. We'll see again, maybe.
605-737-1025. Our phone number. The Rob Rant coming up next. Charles Robinson at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
Let's go win some football games. Come on.
Corner don't split the zone and get to the sticks, okay, which is the first down marker in case you don't know.
Every baseball game should be 7 innings. 9 innings is too long.
That sounded better than any Hootie and the Blowfish song I've ever heard.
Mike, is there a single fan out there that's smart at all, or are they all stupid? Let us know.
There's nothing like Kentucky basketball. There's just nothing like it.
What in the hell are we talking about here?
Where are the fans? There's no fans here. Where are they?
Again, I'm feeling the Hootie puke come up.
It is time for the Rob Rant, brought to you by Rapid Response Generators, power when it matters most, and served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville. Another outstanding job for me and Safar there. It's been a while since I've heard the actual Pruitt clip of him explaining the first down marker to Blake Topmeyer, and it was beautiful there.
Yeah, it's where the first down is, in case you don't know.
Blake.
Good stuff there from, yeah.
Take that, Blake.
Well, I forgot that, but I kind of feel bad about the Hootie and the Blowfish shit. I mean, like, it's certainly better than a lot of the other bands that get shade on this program.
You were talking smack about him.
Yeah. I mean, I never loved them, to be honest with you.
Would you take Hootie and the Blowfish or Maroon 5?
Oh, Hootie, a million. I mean, way beyond. They actually, like, have instruments and play music. I mean, like, they're fine. Maroon 5 is like a human whoopee cushion on stage. I mean, just get out of my face.
Well, one of them's played a Super Bowl halftime show, and one of them has it.
Yeah. It doesn't speak well of the NFL, does it? Or sports. Doesn't really speak well of our country.
All right, I got a public service announcement, and this has been coming up way too much lately. We got to get this stopped. When you arrive somewhere new, Joe, generally speaking, it's a good idea to kind of, get a lay of the land, take a look at some of the customs that go on, and try to, acclimate yourself to a point best way you can. Some of that involves like being able to actually say where places are and how they're, what they're pronounced, how they're called. I have heard so much in the last 3 weeks. Mount Juliet and Lebanon. Okay.
Ooh.
And look, I'm not a Wilson County resident. I'd have spent, a lot of time in Wilson County, but I'm a Sumner County / Robertson County guy. It's where I've been for the majority of my life. But the amount of people around here that I guess have either moved in or I don't know what, that keep referring to Mount Juliet as Mount Juliet or Lebanon as Lebanon, we got to get it stopped. I understand that there's a place in the Middle East that's a country called Lebanon, right? And you look at it, you read it, and you say, well, it's the same spelling, it's the same word, it's got to be the same thing. Well, it's not. So let this be a public service announcement and educational experience. It's Mount Juliet. I mean, let me tell you what, we've done a lot of AI on this show, Joe. Let me tell you what AI has to say about Mount Juliet.
Okay.
Mount Juliet, the well-known suburb of Nashville, Tennessee, is phonetically pronounced Mount Juliet, stressing the first syllable. The Juliet is clipped short rather than drawn out like the Shakespearean Juliet, which is a dead giveaway that someone is an out-of-towner. Even artificial intelligence knows if you say Mount Juliet, you ain't from here, okay? That's where we're at in today's society. We have got to get Mount Juliet and Lebanon locked down for these newcomers in our area. And I hope that today's show can be the start of that here in the Middle Tennessee area.
It's a good PSA for sure. And there's others. Now, I will tell you that I separate these as an outsider. I separate these two. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's spelled the same way, but I never said it. And I never used to ever hear anybody say Mount Juliet. I don't know. Like, it just like
it's a new thing.
That's not to me. That's not hard. And I don't know. I guess the first time I heard it was Mount Juliet. Okay. Mount Juliet. Now I will say that because of the country Lebanon, like that's one of those things where just people need to learn it. And then, then you get used to it. I mean, the instinct on that one is to say Lebanon, just because I mean, and I don't know.
Well,
maybe,
that's why I don't even want to get into Lafayette, because that may be more than the out-of-towners can handle right now. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible.
yeah. Look, it's totally Lebanon. Just get used to it, live it, learn it, love it, move on. Mount Juliet to me is just weird. If it was spelled Juliette, then I get that. But that one is weird to me. That's got to die a quick death.
That feels like an AI one in particular. Like when AI reads a voice, it'll be like Juliet. Just
it definitely is an AI thing. But I've also I've heard people in the last couple of weeks talking about. There's this one lady that was I was around the other day that she said Mount Juliet like 8 times, and I was just hey, just so you know,
stop
Mount Juliet, okay? Just so you know. Not mad at you. Just we need to get this fixed. So I'm here to fix it. It's Mount Juliet. She didn't even bring up Lebanon, so who knows? I probably should have taken that opportunity to go with Lebanon at that point too, and just go ahead and preemptively strike. But it's run rampant the last few weeks. Mount Juliet and Lebanon. It's like, good grief, people. We got to get this figured out around here.
Yeah, and then we can have an advanced once everybody gets it, everybody gets up to speed. Then there's others too. Look, Sevierville,
you did it.
Pause. Long pause.
Sevierville, but see, it's more Vol, not Ville,
Yeah.
because I used to say Sevierville.
No, the first time you ever said it, you said Seaverville.
Seaverville.
That is not it.
Tom Severs.
Oh man, I forgot about that one.
This is a good. It's good when the rant can help the people. I really need quickly to respond to this texter who said, "Give credit where it's due. Maroon 5's first 2 records were pretty great." I mean, I may need to ban you. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't really just say that, did you?
Well, and now people are bringing up, Santa Fe, which again, I'm trying not to go too deep in the weeds on the Tennessee town pronunciations, because I will freely admit there are some that just don't make any sense. Like, what is Santa Fe? It's got to be the only place on the earth that calls it Santa Fe instead of Santa Fe. Yeah, and I've already mentioned Lafayette. People are bringing that up too. Like, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on people. I need them to get the basics first. Let's get Mount Juliet and Lebanon under our belts, and then we can worry about, Lafayette and Sevierville and Santa Fe and all these other things.
Yeah, the Santa Fe one is when it comes down to it, what people who are from an area call it is what it is. But to me, I think you probably need another E to be able to call that Santa Fe, right? Like that's a bit of a butchering of the English language, rules, even though they're very strange and there's a lot of things about the English language that don't make sense.
Dennis says there are realtor ads that say they're your hometown realtor, but they pronounce Lebanon and Mount Juliet incorrectly.
What?
That's a tough one. Hey, it's your hometown realtor. Here's Lebanon. Okay.
Are you serious? Cool. Boy, that's bad. I wouldn't go with that realtor.
No, it's not what you're looking for on that front. So there we go. We gotta get this figured out. I think for the most part, people are on the same page around here.
Ed does want to know how people in Tennessee pronounce Romeo and Juliet.
Well, I mean, it's different, right?
Romeo and Juliet.
I mean, could be a spinoff. We talk about documentaries. Make one of that.
What about like a playing of Romeo and Juliet in Mount Juliet?
I'm sure
it's happened, right? Like the high school probably did. Yeah. That's not okay. Wait, Murfreesboro. It says this guy's Robert Ness says Murfreesboro, not Murfreesboro.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes people leave out the R.
Okay.
In Murfreesboro,
like Library. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, it's Murfreesboro. Yeah.
And,
that was nowhere near as big of an issue as the Mount Juliet and Lebanon one.
Yeah, those ones are once you learn Lebanon, I think it's easy to stick with it and figure it out. You have to learn it. And this is why this is important for people. Good job.
Well, I just know we've got a lot of people that are moving here, and it's been the case for a while now.
When's that going to stop? Is that going to stop?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you've never been taught. You never have really had anybody sit you down and say, "Hey, I know you think it's Lebanon, it's not," or "I know you think it's Mount Juliet, it's not." So I'm hoping that this could be an educational day here on the program, and now we can all move forward as one collective community here.
Yeah, no, very good. No, we probably need to every once in a while do these, and then we'll keep advancing the class to bigger things. Dennis
Up
says
next,
Terrell Davis
Lafayette.
and Terrell Owens. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Terrell Davis.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Charles Robinson coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Thursday morning. And we head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program. Charles, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've learned over many months now that if Joe Rexrode lines up behind you, get nervous. You know, you go through his family lineage, and it was Joe Rexrode the first. I love the Titanic. Joe Rexrode the second. I love the Hindenburg.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how many other things can Joe really back that end as poorly as the Texas Tech Red Raiders' pursuit of Brendan Sorsby? Man, oil money can buy you a lot. It can't buy you out of everything. Apparently, that's what I have learned. That's for sure.
Thank goodness. Goodness I'm the first.
But,
yeah, right.
Rexrode had his Texas Tech foam finger. I think it was on the way via Amazon. He had to send it back. So
guns up, baby. Guns up.
Yep. Tough look on that.
Did it have spreads printed on it?
Yeah, maybe so. It's been a good look there. So, Charles, let's just start there. We were talking earlier about the supplemental draft part of this, and you know, Mike Jones has put out an article at The Athletic this morning, basically asking this question, and I think it's an interesting one. Like, what does the NFL think about all this? Does the NFL actually do a supplemental draft? If so, how do they view Sorsby and all this? Where do you come down on like the NFL's perspective on this Brendan Sorsby story and what that could mean for him in terms of, you know, does the NFL want him to be in the league next year? Like, how do you view all that?
Well, what was interesting is when this all started up, right? You know, what was coming out of a few different places prior to Sorsby being, you know, applying for a supplemental draft was that, you know, hey, there were some NFL programs that when Brendan Sorsby, you know, and his agent and other people in his camp put out feelers prior to the 2026 NFL draft, the question was, should he enter? Should he enter? What, you know, would he be taken? Where would he be taken? And at least 3 teams advised Sorsby's camp, you should go. Like, you'll be, you know, effectively you'll be a first round pick. We believe you'll be a first round pick. And you know, that said, 3 is not. I'll be frank with you. 3 out of 32 is not. It's not a super strong endorsement. That's, let's say Sorsby goes through the NFL draft process. That's walking into 32 meetings and 3 teams saying, "Hey, if you're there, we'll take you." Well, you know what? That happens a lot in the NFL draft process. And then once the first round rolls through, a lot of players who get told, if you're there, we'll take it, they don't get taken, you know, in the first round. They end up being, you know, sliding or going, you know, further than they initially expect. So I think, you know, from the jump, before even knowing the allegations, before knowing what he had done, not even allegations, things that he's obviously admitted to in court documents and publicly at this stage, I would say he was looked at as, at least had he entered the 2026 draft, a fringy first round pick. Now, if he goes through the process, right, works out, are there opportunities for him to end up being a prospect who pulls himself ahead of, let's say, Ty Simpson, right, who goes, you know, in the upper first half of the first round to the Rams? I think there's a chance. Yeah, absolutely. I think from a tools standpoint, a lot of teams really liked what he brought to the table. I think if you got into criticisms, it was, okay, you know, kind of like, look at how he plays later in seasons. What big games has he won? Have we seen him go through a playoff run? He would have been nitpicked, definitely. But, and I've seen this comparison out there, you know, Jackson Dart coming out of Ole Miss, very similar, sort of like, what system does he run? What does his play style look like? Sorsby's been, you know, compared to Dart a bit in terms of play style. Do I think he would have been a first-round pick in the 2026 draft? Considering how weak the quarterback class was, I think he has a pretty good chance that he ends up being somewhere in that first-round pick, given, you know, his tools, his athleticism, his ability to run RPOs, And then what I think some teams saw as an untapped ceiling. Now, post all these allegations coming out and him admitting to what he's admitted to in terms of the betting, I think it's certainly a completely different situation, because it's not just about what evaluators think about him. It's not just what coaches think about him. And this is probably the story that's not getting told enough right now. He's not a GM pick. He's not a coach pick. He's an owner pick, 100%. Right now, if he's accepted in the supplemental draft, when he comes off the board, that is an ownership conversation. It's a general counsel conversation. It's a team security conversation. It's a what did our investigation turn up conversation. It is a continued therapy. Like okay, he's gone and he's essentially entered into a program for gambling addiction. Well, what does the continued treatment of that look like? It's so many different things on the table now that personally, I would be surprised if there was any team right now that was willing to gamble a first round pick in the 2027 NFL draft on him. Maybe when you get into the second round and beyond, maybe even it gets into the third round or later, before teams are sitting there saying, okay, it's not 3 variables, it's 30 with this guy. And the criticism isn't on a base level, it's on a deep level, it's layered, it's continuous, and it overlaps with the rest of our organization because we're ultimately the ones that took the chance on him. It's wildly complicated, and although I think ultimately he does get accepted in the supplemental draft, and I think the precedent of the NFL not coming down and punishing Kayshon Boutte, who was drafted by the New England Patriots, late in the draft when he came out, and then subsequently in the 2024 season, it was found, or he was at least, now the charges were eventually dropped, but I mean there were charges brought against him for gambling at LSU when he was a wide receiver there. Like 8,000 plus bets was the allegation, and yet the NFL never really took action against him. It's hard for me to see what precedent the NFL stands on to go after Sorsby, although Boutte was never, basically the NCAA never came out and said, Boutte, your eligibility is used up and you're finished. So I don't know if that's maybe the inflection point for the league, but he is a worthy NFL talent. There's a whole boatload of things that are attached to him, and between now and whenever the supplemental draft is set, which it hasn't been set yet, there's a lot of investigation that's going to ultimately have to go on for NFL teams. I don't think the supplemental happens until probably the doorstep of training camp, which is absolutely when teams would have to know whether or not they're going to spend a draft pick on him, because he impacts your salary cap this season. He impacts your roster this season. But yeah, I mean, there's so much work to be done on him by NFL teams and the NFL in general that this isn't the end of anything for him. It's absolutely the beginning, especially where it concerns the NFL.
How many teams do you think, or maybe specific teams are like, that's off the board, we're end of discussion, and do you know of specific teams that actually are interested in him?
I think, okay, so let me answer this in a way where I think if you're looking at a roster standpoint, and these are teams that have been put out there, and I think there's an element of sensibility to it, like the Arizona Cardinals. Does he make sense for the Arizona Cardinals? Certainly from a need standpoint, makes sense for the Arizona Cardinals. From an ownership standpoint, Michael Bidwill, I could see that being an organization that would be willing to, essentially, if the price is right, take a chance on him, right? Monty Ossenfort, the general manager there, who's kind of, I don't want to say he's on the hot seat, but certainly he's at a moment now where this season matters, how the team aligns itself for the next quarterback matters. Jacoby Brissett, who's just a bridge starter for them, has been problematic this offseason in terms of like getting him in the fold. You drafted Carson Beck in the third round, who's just a okay, let's see what happens. Maybe we get lucky and we drafted our starter for 2026 and beyond. But really we're gearing ourselves toward the 2027 draft. So a team like that, again, where I think it has to align, I personally believe it has to align in terms of need in the quarterback room. It has to align with talent on the roster not being a slam dunk, ready to go. We're not worried about anybody, we still have an opening for guys. We're not completely walled up in terms of how we feel in our locker room. Like we're not a completely nailed down, ready to win championships kind of team, because I think bringing Sorsby in kind of could disrupt that. So you have to want to roll the dice a little bit. You're still in an element of development. And then I think you have to have an owner who is willing to take a risk. And this ownership point, I cannot underscore this enough. You have to have an owner who's willing to take a risk, willing to see this as a football move in which you're taking a chance on an asset that is a bit undervalued, and you're willing to take a shot. So I would look at teams like, Seattle doesn't fit that, but the interesting thing about Seattle is you're in the midst of a sale, right, for the Seattle Seahawks. You have John Schneider, who is a general manager who absolutely has he's been willing over the course of his career multiple times. He's been willing to take risks on talent that is coming into availability on some kind of a discount based on past actions. I mean, go look up John Schneider and Malik McDowell. Like that's the one that will always be, pinned to that organization. And it was, turned out very badly for the Seattle Seahawks, but and then they're in the midst of a sale. So there's not really necessarily an owner at this point, an owner who's going to be there long-term, who's going to step in and say, no, you know what? I don't want myself tied to this. I don't want my legacy tied to this. There has to be a little bit of either an owner who's on board or an opening where there's some instability in the organization. Plus, John Schneider came from historically a Green Bay tree in personnel where they would take quarterbacks, they would stack quarterback talent and then deal them later. Like, they didn't sit there and go, hey, we're tried and true at quarterback. We don't have to worry about anything. Let's not take any of their quarterbacks because they're not necessarily assets because we can't get them on the field. That's not how John Schneider and a lot of people who came out of that Green Bay operation over the last, 20 plus years operated. They'll add, talent to position. So that's like a dark horse, like a weird one where you're like, man, they just won the Super Bowl. I think maybe in Schneider's mind and maybe other people that are in personnel, they're like, well, okay, there's no threat. We bring the kid in, Brendan Sorsby, he's not going to play for us. We'll just be a developmental piece. And then if he plays as well as he could from a talent standpoint, it gives us either an option if Sam Darnold is not someone who we think is going to work out beyond 2026 or beyond, or also a trade piece. Maybe we can deal him if we can show treatment's going well, the kid's, staying on a straight line. We've rehabilitated him to a point and we can get an asset later. So maybe like Seattle's like a dark horse. A lot of people are going to plug in, poor teams that need quarterback assets, the Jets, Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like those are all going to be teams that I think the Minnesota Vikings, because that's, everything's so up in the air there. I think those are all in play, but I think people are asking the wrong questions. We're all focusing on the quarterback room rather than looking at ownership and going, how do you feel about this? Because this is a red line type of player that right now precedent's being set. You're not relying on past precedent. Realistically, this is a completely different animal. And are you willing as an owner to put the stamp of approval on it and say, we'll bring it in, we'll watch this guy like a hawk and hope that nothing happens and that he's kind of crossed the boundary here and grown up and everything will be okay. That's a big, big, big question to be asked of NFL owners, who, by the way, are all going to be staring at each other on this one.
Well, they're all going to be staring at each other. You've got, obviously Goodell's watching all this go on. And the point that we've made, in terms of like NFL discipline on this, like, he's not broken any rules in the NFL yet to this point. There'll be a close eye on him there from that. But like, I guess if you're in the NFL and beyond even the owners, like if you are Goodell and you're looking at this, how do you feel about just the entire firestorm around him and that following him into your league coming up?
Well, I think you look at it two ways. The first way is just the individual, like the kid himself, right? And you're saying, and I think this is what the process they will go through between now and whenever the supplemental draft unfolds, and obviously in the league office when they're making the decision. Because remember, look, if the league has to accept it, the NFL, Roger Goodell, they have to accept him into the supplemental draft. And then they have to decide whether or not there's going to be any ramifications for him on the other side of it, which could be, hey, you know what? Look, the NCAA was ruling you effectively ineligible, so we're going to levy some sort of suspension. There are a lot of questions still to be answered, but I think when it comes to Goodell and the individual that's coming into the league, it's okay. How much do we trust this? What is our investigation turned up? What assets now are going to be used both from a team standpoint and then also a league standpoint to keep an eye on him? Because don't kid yourself. He's not going to come into the league and then he just becomes another guy. He'll never be another guy. He'll always be watched differently from the league standpoint, a league security standpoint, a team security standpoint. I think, the sports books that watch irregularities in gambling when it's tied to any player, which is how, like NBA players have been caught. It's how NFL players have been caught. Sports books will be looking at him at a completely different, from a completely different vantage than anyone else. The fact that, his gambling went from when he was at Indiana all the way through when he had transferred to Texas Tech. The fact that his gambling wasn't just him alone, that he used Confederates at times to place bets. I mean, it's wildly complicated, with this player. And any acquiring franchise will know that and know what they will know what their sign up. This is like grown up time, realistically. I think if you're the league office, you're looking at the NFL franchises and the owners, you're saying, look, it's grown up time. You're signing up for something. You know what you're signing up for. And don't be surprised when we shove off if there's a higher level of scrutiny, both from a fan perspective, the things that get said on social media, from a league perspective. It's almost like when the Browns ultimately acquired Deshaun Watson in the middle of everything that was going on with him. You knew what you were signing up for. This was not going to end when all of a sudden he joined your roster. There were a lot of legal things to be remedied. And then even when they were, it wasn't going to go away. And it never really has with Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. I think Sorsby, there's an element of that. Although, I don't want to compare gambling to, sexual assault allegations, but it's just a higher level of scrutiny, certainly. And then I think from the secondary standpoint, not just the player, you're looking at what does this mean from a trend standpoint? And, I think this is a story, and it's a story I'd love to work on. I'm going to go on a training camp tour, and it's certainly something I think I'm going to bring up with a lot of teams is, where are we now? Like, is this, certainly after talking to some teams, after talking to agents, like, does this feel like the tip of the iceberg? I'll be honest, guys, it does. And maybe not to this level where you have a kid where we're talking about 10,000 bets, or even if you go back to Kayshon Boutte, you're talking about 9,000 bets. It's is this a new norm now that teams are dealing with? And how do you quantify that in the personnel evaluation? Believe me, it's coming. I think this is absolutely going to be a new part of personnel evaluations for players who come into the NFL. It's, have you ever bet? Have you bet on your phone? What did you bet on? Did you ever bet on football? If you didn't bet on football, what other things were you betting on? How many bets did you place? Like, it's become such a culture amongst a younger demographic that's coming into the league that I think teams expect. Now, this has to be some question that we ask. It's no longer just about your relationships. Do you drink? Do you do drugs? Do you do this or that? Now it's, do you gamble? And how often have you gambled? And did you gamble on your phone? Did you use other people to gamble? Those are all going to be questions going forward for NFL prospects.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I was talking earlier, it's like, Art Schlichter was and his whole thing from 45 years ago. I mean, that's when you went to a payphone and called a bookie.
Right.
I mean, it's just
much more complicated.
Yeah, it's if people are being honest, a lot of them are going to have to say yes, and then you pick through that. So, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, no, the ease of it is crazy. It was, even in my mind, I thought at one point, I don't know if I said this on the show, but it was like at one point when I was working on Sorsby's story, when I was still at Yahoo, I said out loud, I was like literally writing. I was sitting in the living room and I said something out loud about what the annual spend now is on gambling every year. And literally Dawn says, well, $200 of that is mine. I was like, what do you need $200 of that?
Hitting some parlays.
She's like, I did a DraftKings thing. A bunch of other nurses were doing DraftKings. And I'm like, okay. I'm like a gambler in my house.
There you go.
I'm like, okay, wow. This is, so that kind of hits home. Where all of a sudden you're just sitting there and you find out that $200 of your household income was blown on the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a different world. I did, Charles. I did want to ask you about Joe Burrow's out here talking like this is the Bengals are gonna be 2019 LSU all over again, which sounds more like wishful thinking to me. But there's some excitement about everything he's saying, the confidence. Meanwhile, I feel like Zach Taylor's got to be like the hottest seat on the hottest seat, basically in the NFL. Like, should we buy the Bengals?
I will answer that by saying this, like, do you buy the defense, right? Like, straight up, do you buy the defense? Now they traded obviously a top end first round pick for Dexter Lawrence. You lost Trey Hendrickson. There have been changes there. Before we even get to that point, my first question, obviously considering the last like 3 seasons and really his career, can Burrow stay healthy, right? Can you keep him from getting hit to the point where he stays healthy? And even some of the health that's happened, if you've paid close attention to his career, it's been weird things. An offensive lineman steps on his foot, his hand hits something. It's not necessarily, well, he's just getting shelled constantly, and there's some of that, or he's taking off running like Jackson Dart and not protecting himself and getting hammered. There's been times, moments of that as well over the course of his career. He's gotten hurt. It's not like he's only gotten hurt one kind of way. There's been a multitude of different ways that he's gotten hurt, and some of it's on him, some of it's on the way they protect him, some of it's on the system. And so the first thing I think of when he makes that statement is like, okay, well, he's certainly entering this with a positive mental attitude, which was different than how he entered the offseason, right? Because we talked about, is he going to get traded? He seems really beat down by this. When we went through the quarterback series on Netflix, we saw the mental toll it took on him. It seems like he's in a pretty good place, but I don't, for me, and I would think for the NFL at large, I don't know that we look at the Bengals and have a strong sense of belief, particularly beyond the offense. Offensively, fine. You've got great pieces. There's no question. I mean, the skill position pieces, Chase Brown at running back, if he's healthy the entire season, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I mean, there's, that has not changed. They can still score a lot of points in boat race teams. I just don't know, can Burrow stay healthy, and can the defense really, frankly, turn a corner in a meaningful way that they can hold teams to. If you told me, you know what, all the offensive guys are going to stay healthy, Burrow's going to stay healthy, and the defense will hold teams to 24 points a game, I would say, you know what, Bengals are going to win a lot of games. They're going to be very competitive. They're going to be a team we're going to be talking about in January. It's probably going to be pretty exciting. Do I really, truly feel like I know that's going to happen. I have no clue. And I don't think anybody else does either. So I think if anything, you just take out of it, there's positivity there, which is what the Bengals were trying to produce with him this offseason, show him we're adding pieces. We're not just going to lose Trey Hendrickson and do nothing. And we really don't want to trade you, and we don't want you to feel like you want to be traded. It's a good way to enter 2026. We could very easily exit 2026 on the complete opposite end of that spectrum and be back talking about whether or not Burrow's going to get dealt.
Well, Coach O ain't walking through that door. He's not walking through the door.
Good point.
In Cincinnati.
Come on,
so
man.
he could stop with the 2019
I
LSU stuff.
That's right.
Two different levels of football, and that team was so historically unbelievable when you look at the roster that, like, hey, you just, if anything, just take away he feels good. He's excited. He's positive. That is for the Bengals, it's a good marker. That's what you wanted to develop in him. You didn't want him to be disturbed and upset and how he felt going into the offseason. Great. So you've made those strides, but now you got to go on the football field and actually prove that your defense isn't going to be a 30-plus, point per game sieve, and you have to go in and prove that you can keep your quarterback healthy, because Bro just not in 3 years, he's been healthy-ish. He was healthy for a season basically, and you can't have that happen again in 2026. And I fully believe that if, let's say, he goes through another injured year, or the defense is just atrocious, or he has skill position players who are beaten up and not on the field, and if they're 7-10, if they're 6-11, I absolutely think that's going to be the talk of next offseason is, what's going on with this rookie quarterback class who's coming in, and is anyone willing to deal some of these picks to go get Joe Burrow?
Charles, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us today, and we will talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Look forward to it. Take care.
Yes, sir. Charles Robinson with us every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock here on the program. We'll react to what he had to say coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Duncan fans, Bellevue's newest location at 7120 Highway 70 South announces their grand opening event this Saturday morning from 9 to 11. To celebrate, they're bringing in baseball star players from Banana Ball's Texas Tailgaters and Party Animals for a special meet and greet. That's Duncan's grand opening this Saturday in Bellevue on Highway 70 South from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come on, join the fun. Looking forward to that coming out this Saturday in Bellevue. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. The Joe Burrow comments are interesting, Joe, of, hey, 2019 LSU vibes, kind of how it feels out here right now. What do you make of that? And do you think that I'm looking at their team and it feels in a lot of ways pretty similar to what they've been. I mean, they did make the Dexter Lawrence trade, so we'll see what that looks like. Everybody knows how good Burrow is when he's healthy and how good Jamar Chase is, and you got T. Higgins in the fold, but do we feel like they are at a point with their roster where they can be a legitimate threat to win the Super Bowl?
It's hard for me to get there. A friend of the show, Paul Daner, wrote about this, and one point he made is that they were very lacking in the leadership department on defense last year. So they addressed that with a few different players, and they think that that's way better. And that's great. And then that matters, but it only goes so far. It's still hard for me to look at that defense. Now, what does the defense need to be? I mean, if they're solid, middling, then and as Charles said, Burrow actually stays healthy. Well, okay. Could they just be a fire wagon football, win a bunch of high scoring games and have a great record and have a chance to make a run in the playoffs? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. They're probably more forgotten at large in the NFL, than they should be because of recent events. Like, they should be probably taken a little bit more seriously because of the ridiculous skill they have throwing the football. And I agree, Chase Brown is really good. I think that they've missed Mixon. I mean, I think he was an underrated part of that offense and team, but I think Chase Brown is a talent. So I could see them being a playoff team this year, being better than people think, reminding people of how incredibly talented and skilled they are. But I don't know about the whole Super Bowl thing with this squad. And again, the LSU comparison, that's great. You can feel like you have those vibes. It's not possible to. That was a great NFL offense playing college football. So you're never gonna feel that feeling again, Joe.
Like I said, Coach O's not walking through the door. So what do you?
Well,
what do you
there's
think's
that
gonna
too.
happen down there.
You don't have the schematic advantage that you automatically get with Coach O on hand. That's too. Yeah.
I don't know what you think's going to happen on that front. I mean, look, we had the conversation the other day about players in the NFL that have the most pressure on them. And I don't know that Joe Burrow came up in that conversation, which is just a gross oversight by me. But, I mean, I understand Cincinnati's got pressure if they want to convince him to hang around. But, I mean, look, if you're Burrow, you can't stay healthy, right? I mean, we knock other people for that, right? Not being able to stay healthy. Well, Burrow hasn't been able to stay healthy. Like, he's 2023 played 10 games. Last year he played 8 games. Like, he has not been able to stay healthy. And Charles laid it out well. I mean, it's not like it's been one thing. It's been different scenarios and circumstances that have led to all these injuries. But the bottom line is, as big of a part of the story as anything you want to point to Cincinnati related over the last couple of years of why they haven't been able to get there, well, your inability to get on the field has been a big part of that too, right? Now, I understand the last time we saw him in a full season was 2024, and the numbers were ridiculous. I mean, he completed 70% of his passes. He threw for almost 5,000 yards and 43 touchdowns. So clearly, when he is healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But, I mean, I think there's a lot to prove from him this year in terms of just keeping yourself on the field. That's a big part of playing quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and to Charles's point there, that's the thing. If you took the two extreme possibilities, which is it all works out, he does stay healthy, the defense gets way better, and they're actually one of those real top contenders in the AFC, or any number of things doesn't work out, and you're talking new coach, you're talking get in on the Joe Burrow sweepstakes, possibly rest of league. I mean, I would pick that one as the more likely of the two extreme scenarios, And so we might really be. I mean, what a fascinating situation that would be if it actually gets to the point where, like they're just completely blowing it up. I mean, it's still, to me, it's like it's hard for me to wrap my head around if you're a franchise and you have him, doing that. But I think the health part is especially where you get into that, where it's like the guy is it's not happening. And what other teams out there are willing to gamble because he's so good, and maybe think, well, we'll do a better job of supporting him, I mean, I think we may be headed for that as a primary NFL story, down not too far down the road.
Let's head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mark in Nashville to the program. Mark, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, good morning, Robby. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Mark?
Yeah, all right. Hey, Joe, 63.2%. Joe Money, that was his completion percentage for his career. One of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. I just wanted to throw that at you, man. But y'all talking about Joe Burrow, Robby. Joe, you made a good point. He probably does miss Joe Mixon. I mean, Brown does. He's a good back, but he's not Joe Mixon. I kind of wish they had brought him back, Joe Mixon, that is, but I guess it never happened. Their defense has gotten better. I think it's a make-or-break year for Joe Burrow, Robby. Joe, if he doesn't, he's kind of predicting it, either get to the Super Bowl or else. They may do it, they may not. It depends a lot upon that defense that they got with the pieces, with Jonathan Allen and all of them that they added to that team. But I think this is a make or break. If Joe doesn't do it this year, there have been some reports, man, that it had not the Rams taken the quarterback out of Alabama this year, that they might have went after Joe Burrow come next year. I don't know how true that is, but I think it is. Will he pull Andrew Luck and retire? I mean, he's got plenty of money, but Joe can't stay healthy, Robby. Joe, he's been out, 2 months every year for the last couple of years. He's had some bad injuries. Of course, that has to do something. Yeah, that has something to do with the offensive line. And we all know the Bengals don't spend a lot of money. They're not known for it. Most of their money's wrapped up into the wide receivers. And, they just don't have that reputation for spending a lot of money. Maybe he'll force a trade. I don't know. Maybe he'll walk away. But he's put a lot of pressure on them, making this statement that he's made and stuff. And, I guess that we'll see. Joe, I noticed you got quiet when I said Joe Money and 63.2%. And I know that ain't really great, but I noticed you got quiet about that, Joe. Why are you quiet, man?
That's funny because Robby listed out the top 5 and he wasn't in there. But not Joe Money, great player. No arguments, man. No arguments.
It was Joe Shiesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And when I get off the phone, you'll make some kind of comment about it. I know you do. I know you
not
do.
At all.
Yeah.
Thank you,
hey,
Mark.
man,
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. All right, then, Rob. Y'all have a good one, man. See you,
You
Joe.
too, man.
All right, Mark.
We'll continue to take your thoughts. 615-737-1025. One more segment coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Joe, going back to our earlier discussion, more support than I thought on the Maroon 5 front, on the text lines, on the YouTube chat, on my personal text line. There's some Maroon 5 love going on out there.
Yeah, like, so Loppy 87 says, that he's someone who has played instruments for the last 30 years and covers for the last 20. He says early Maroon 5 actually blows Hootie out of the water instrumentally. And then I said, I'm going to destroy my computer with that. You said that. But okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't really know what to say. Whatever is to blame for the sounds that they have created, it is objectionable, and we should not celebrate it. And we should, and really, the NFL should be under scrutiny still today for having Maroon 5 do the Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, it really is. It's incredible. When you could list out like a few hundred bands who are more deserving than Maroon 5. Right?
A few hundred.
I mean, Megadeth. I mean, give me Megadeth. Okay? I can throw out a random band. I mean, yeah. I might even say like Creed is more worthy than Maroon 5 of a Super Bowl halftime show. And a Creed Super Bowl halftime show should be like a felony.
This is a big breakthrough on the show today. It may be the most respectful comment you ever made about Creed ever.
I mean, well, I have a texter immediately jumping in and says, Maroon 5 sucks. Don't back down, Joe. You're 100% right about it. I know. Thank you. Like, I don't even know how to compare Maroon 5 and Creed, but like, I might actually give Creed the edge, right? I mean, it's that bad.
Well, by the time the Super Bowl comes here, we talked a lot in the aftermath of that announcement about, who's going to play the halftime show. And that was even before you were a giant country fan like you are now. So, I mean, You'll be out there in the middle of the mosh pit at halftime with a cowboy hat on with, jamming along to Luke Bryan or whatever it is.
Ella Langley, give her the Super Bowl. It's fine.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, someone's like, at least Maroon 5. Cool I got at least Maroon 5 saying in English. Okay, there you go. I mean, I'm not a Bad Bunny fan either, but,
some of the Bad Bunny songs, they slap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, and again,
that dude farts.
Is that what the kids say? Slap.
Nice. But the bottom line is, and I don't know, maybe I'm not remembering with Maroon 5. I know they had hit songs and whatever, and the dude was on, The Voice. But I mean, Bad Bunny is a tremendously popular act, right? Like, it's got to be way higher selling than Maroon 5 ever was, I would assume.
I can't tell you the sales of Maroon 5. I would assume so. Also, like the dude, the Adam Levine dude on Maroon 5 is kind of a jackass from what I hear. So there's also that. So.
Yeah, well, you don't need to hear it. I mean, I think that's when I stopped watching that show. I'm like, I can't stand this dude.
Exactly.
But yes, T Swift, lock it in for Nashville.
It could be on the table.
Right?
Could be on the table. She's in Toy Story 5 singing songs, so why not the Super Bowl halftime show?
Really?
That's going to do it for us today here on the program. We will be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.